as before, this is not going to be an easy conversation. You've heard our reporting on the massive flooding in some of the towns and provinces. What do you think happened this time? What is your assessment?
Well, there are areas that are susceptible to flooding even at this point in time. Actually, the flood control programs that we are undertaking is just part of the solution to the flooding problem. It should have to be, to address flooding problems, it has to be done actually holistically. For one thing, when we came into this administration two years ago, I noticed that actually the riverbeds along the rivers, many of the rivers, are very shallow. So you can expect that any big rainfall, the rivers will have to overflow. So I'm sure that there are other projects that have been undertaken over the past years, but it's not enough actually to mitigate unless the riverbeds are dredged and de-silted, so that the carrying capacity of the rivers should be increased actually.
Sec Manny, it's kind of fresh in my head. We spoke right after Karina. That was July 24. We spoke to you last week of July. Right after that, about a week after, you showed up in Senate and the senators were questioning you on what happened to all the flood control problems. So I'm not going to ask you those again. But what I want to ask you, Sec, is what have we started doing since Bagyong Karina to try to kind of play catch up, because as we know, we are very much behind in the implementation and even the master planning of all these flood control projects, which, as we found out, are not integrated?
Well, if you're looking for the integrated flood control projects, actually are unique for each river basin. Actually, in each river basin, there are several components, just like Metro Manila. Metro Manila has, I think, about 7 components, including the technical solutions and the social and environmental components, actually. As far as the engineering interventions are concerned, actually, I think the Department of Public Works and Highways over the years have been undertaking the components when the master plan that was formulated with the assistance of the World Bank, I understand, in 2012. So my information is many of these have already been undertaken, but there are still many components, engineering components that have to be undertaken for the Pasig Marikina flood management control project. You can appreciate that in Karina, the Pasig River and Marikina River did not overflow, despite the fact na medyo malaki yung rainfall that came down. No? The only problem inside Metro Manila is that the rainwaters that poured inside Metro Manila cannot be drained immediately, because, for one thing, it has to go through, the runoff has to go through the drainage system of Metro Manila, which is actually very antiquated. And it's been there for many, many years, more than 50 years. It's not actually designed already for the requirements this time. Although this is part of the flood control master plan, this still have to be undertaken. The drainage system in Manila area is only about 30% efficient at this point in time, because it's been silted, and it is exacerbated because of yung basura.
Yeah, right, Sec. Pero may plano po ba na i-upgrade? Kahit po yung, let's say, ito muna, sa Metro Manila. But I want to ask you also about the other river basins, because it's not just in Metro Manila that experienced it. That's the difference with Karina. Now we're seeing other province all the way to the Visayas, right? But focus on Metro Manila for real quickly. Secretary, meron po bang update? Like you said, it's outdated now. What is the plan? Last time we discussed some sort of cistern or impounding area. How possible is that? Have we started looking into that?
Yes. Yes, we are actually impounding. We have to provide yung mga dams dun sa watershed in Sierra Madre. And we have to yung mga river impounding projects there. And we are now in the process of undertaking the feasibility study and the design of 3 dams that will be constructed on top of the new Wawa Dam that is actually made for water supply, not for flood control. So it's in the drawing board now, and we are hoping that we can fast track the early implementation of these dams. And we also have to construct a retarding basin in San Mateo so that we can store initially the floodwaters that will come down, and so that it will not go directly to the low-lying areas in Marikina and Metro Manila.
But there's a bit of confusion, Secretary, because when you appeared in Senate last month, they were asking about a national flood control master plan.
Listen,
I understand
there is no.
Go ahead.
You cannot have a single unified single master plan for the entire country. It has to be done on a river basin, because the requirements per river basin is unique from one another. You can just imagine that the river basin in Mindanao will not be the same here in Metro Manila. That is what I tried to explain actually during that hearing, that we cannot have a one single master plan for the entire country. It has to be unique for each of the river basins on a regional basis.
Okay, so there is a master plan for each of the 18 major river basins in the country, but they cannot be put together into one single unified national master plan.
I don't think so.
Okay. Another clarification is for Metro Manila, would that be possible for a single master plan? Because we have so many small LGUs making up Metro Manila. For the capital region, is it possible to have a cohesive one?
There is one single master plan for Metro Manila. And as I said, the master plan includes several components. There are projects that have to be undertaken also by the local government. And actually the water management of the environment, the watershed areas in Sierra Madre.
So hindi pa po natin, Sec, hindi pa po natin nasisimulan?
Pati Basura, somebody has to take care of the Basura inside Metro Manila.
Okay, so on that master plan for Metro Manila, which has existed, I believe, 30 years na yata, no? Parang 1972?
No.
No?
This master plan has been updated. This master plan of Metro Manila was updated after Ondoy.
Okay.
And this was completed in 2012, I understand.
But for now, is it still a plan? Has it been executed?
Yes. No, it is being executed.
At all?
It is now being executed, that's what I'm saying. Many of the components are being executed, particularly the structural engineering interventions are continuously being implemented.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. I guess this is the time where I have to ask around when we can expect that to be completed. We all know it cannot be overnight. I know it's not a trick question, but just to have a timeline that we can, keep an eye on.
As far as the structural component is concerned, our timetable is anywhere to be well implemented starting within this administration. But I don't think it will be completed anyway, to be honest. But it has to be continued on. I think it will go beyond 2030.
Okay. The Senate Committee on Public Services, which is chaired by Senator Grace Poe, has already said that they will put your budget for 2025 through the eye of a needle, precisely because they feel like disproportionate yung the worsening flooding vis-a-vis the increasing budget for flood control every year. How are you planning to explain the discrepancy, the fact that every year they increase the budget for flood control and yet we keep suffering these same issues?
Well, I think we can just have to explain actually what this administration is undertaking actually, and what we intend to do for the next, the remaining years of this administration. As I said, we cannot complete everything within this administration. I must have to be honest about it. But we are going to do whatever we can actually, in accordance with the master plan that has been laid out for each of the river basins.
Last time we spoke to you, you also said that the responsibility for ensuring for flood control for Metro Manila lies with the MMDA, not with the DPWH, correct?
Yes.
But is there...
That is correct, in accordance with their charter.
Is there a plan to work more closely together, to coordinate better so as to prevent this from keep from floods from constantly besetting the city?
Actually, we are coordinating. I think we have been, the department has been coordinating for some time. Well, it's not only under this administration, but even in the past administration, they had been coordinating with MMDA. But there are also other things that need to be addressed. Actually, MMDA, of course, under their charter, is responsible for the flood control program of Metro Manila, and DPWH is actually assisting now the MMDA in accordance with the project that we are implementing that has been based on the master plan prepared by the World Bank. For instance, the DPWH is actually undertaking the rehabilitation of many of the pumping stations in Metro Manila that were constructed way back many years ago to increase the output capacity of many of these pumping stations. And this is the reason why I think if you will notice, yung flood in Metro Manila, when before, let's say, Ondoy time, it took about 3 weeks actually to subside. Now in Metro Manila, yes, there's still flooding in Metro Manila, but the run of water inside Metro Manila will be subsiding in a few days lang.
Okay. So you don't agree that the flooding situation currently is just the same as it was during Ondoy, which is something that House lawmakers have pointed to?
Well, I think it has improved actually because of these interventions, the projects that have already been being undertaken by, DPWH in particular.
Okay. Sec, one last question, like leaving flood control very, very quickly, but still on the effects of really heavy rains. Yung mga landslide po, ang dami po sa Rizal, a lot of roads.
Yeah.
What's your initial assessment on the matter? I understand they're still kind of ongoing, unfortunately. What reports have you gotten from the field?
Yeah, I visited actually the affected areas this afternoon, and actually I noticed actually not along the main roads actually, not along the national roads. It is mostly along the local roads that have been nagkaroon ng landslides, and unfortunately there have been fatalities because of loose soil that landslides. No? So even then, I think I have I have instructed our district engineering officers to assist the local government units and see what interventions we can contribute para hindi maulit yung mga ganong
kasi po, Sec, tama po ba na LGU po yung small roads? That's up to the LGU under their care, right? Yung national roads, yun po yung sa DPWH. Okay, thanks for clearing that up.
Okay, we're going to have to leave that there for tonight. Thank you so much for those updates. That was DPWH Secretary Manny Bonoan.